The penguins at the Seneca Park Zoo are in quarantine tonight. Yeah, you heard that right. Zookeepers are hoping the forced social distancing will keep them safe. As 13 Wham's Dalton Williams reports, they're concerned about the avian flu now spreading across the country. Dalton?
Dan, we know of at least one farm in Monroe County that has a confirmed case of the avian flu, and the keepers that are at the zoo are not taking any chances. Visitors of the Seneca Park Zoo won't be able to watch the penguins waddle for a while.
So currently right now we're looking at quarantining several of our species, including penguins, which are quite popular, we know, but we'd rather keep them safe for the time being.
The first case of avian flu was confirmed in January. Farmers across the country have been forced to kill millions of hens. At least one farm in Monroe County has been affected by the virus, brought here by migrating birds.
Sometimes you have geese land in everybody's yard this time of the year. So generally you see kind of an increase when the migrations start, and that's what we're seeing now. So your birds, if they come in contact with wild birds who may be infected with it, that's the way they can get it.
Lacey says there are no plans to quarantine any of the indoor birds at the zoo, but they are taking other precautions with them.
The birds that are inside, we still have some precautions about our keepers, making sure they're scrubbed up and clean, but we don't see us taking these animals off display.
And as for those favorites, the penguins, Lacey hopes the visitors will be able to see them again soon.
So hopefully May, June, somewhere in there, we'll be able to bring the penguins back out, which is interesting. That's just in time. They are warm-weathered penguins, so that's perfect time for summer to have the penguins out.
Dr. Lesho says people are understandably concerned about whether or not they can get the bird flu, but the answer is probably not. The virus has not mutated enough to be transmitted between species.
Geography student embarked on a final class project. It changed her life and may well change the lives of many more in our community. As Jenny Ryan reports, it proves what happens when we truly open up our eyes.
I need female models available this weekend in...
On TikTok, RIT student Sydney Lewandowski put out a call for a model for her photography project. She got hundreds of replies, but her choice was easy.
What person typically gets a message that's like, hey, I'm from Rochester and I have one leg, that's a very upfront and just captivating, opener,
Kara Scrubis offered up her smile and even more, her story. She is a cancer survivor. She lost her leg to osteosarcoma as a child.
Kara fell right into what I didn't know I needed.
In Kara, Sydney found both inspiration and motivation. Kara wanted to be photographed in her happy place, Grace's garden at Golisano Children's Hospital. Through this snapshot, Sydney says her own life came into focus.
I felt that there was something that I could do with her story that we could collaborate on together.
The photo shoot inspired another class project. Sydney recreated Grace's garden, sharing Kara's story. She used it to educate others about childhood cancer.
I didn't know where it was going, but I knew it needed to go somewhere. Something bigger needed to come out of this.
That something bigger is a glimpse of gold. Sydney created the brand, a hat and wristband, to raise awareness and money for CURE, the Childhood Cancer Association. And it all began with a class project, a student with an eye for photography and a heart that enabled her to see so much more.
This project literally changed your life.
Yeah, I think that's why I was placed on this earth, is to be an educator and to be a helper.
Now, before her project, Sydney wanted to be a wedding photographer. Now she wants to work at a nonprofit. We have more information about Sydney's project, Glimpse of Gold, on 13wham.com.
A U.S. attorney is joining the call to action with the Rochester community on how to better prevent violence among youth.
We can all say there's violence in our communities and it's horrible and we want it to stop. Okay, that's true. No doubt about it. But what we need to say is, how do we go about doing that?
This is all part of a campaign with the Rochester City School District called Each One, Reach One. Good evening, I'm Dan Schrack. Jenny is off. Doug will join us tonight at 6. U.S. Attorney Trini Ross today shared her outlook on violence prevention. And as 13 Wham's Natalie Kutchko explains, a strong focus is community partnership. Natalie?
Well, today, Ross spoke before members of law enforcement, educators, parents, community advocates, addressing the common goal of safety both in and out of the classroom. U.S. Attorney Trini Ross says when it comes to preventing violence among young people in Rochester, there's a shared level of accountability on the part of both parents and educators.
We need to tell them the power is within them. Amen. And they need to use that power to make sure when they go to school, they don't have to worry about shootings. Amen. To make sure when they walk outside, they don't have to worry about shootings. This is on us.
Ross spoke before a crowd at a church Friday with local leaders and members of law enforcement about breaking the chains of violence in the city. Rochester's interim police chief David Smith says the department is continuing to work closely with city schools. Last year, the department completed close to 500 outreach engagements with school-aged children.
Our Community Affairs Bureau has always been very active working in conjunction with the school district. We all know that introducing juveniles and introducing young folks to the criminal justice system, by the time that happens, is very much too late. What we need to do is we need to reach youths that are at risk before they get into this pattern of life or this lifestyle.
In December, the RCSD started Each One, Reach One, a campaign to tackle two major issues in the district: staffing shortages and making schools safer.
To bring people to the table, to work together, to combine our resources together, to talk about the problems that we have and to work at solutions. We want to provide mentoring opportunities for our kids.
Ross says Rochester has a higher rate of gun violence compared to the rest of Western New York.
There's some hot spots, and I'm aware of that. And the thing about community is it's particular to that area. So one solution, let's say for Buffalo or Jamestown or Niagara Falls, may not work for Rochester, which is why we need to have meetings like this. We need to understand what's going on in that particular community.
And in recent months, RCSD has received the funding to add about a dozen Pathways to Peace workers to install in select schools to help further put an end to the problem of ongoing violence.